What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I did this for the NFC. Now it's time to go to the AFC and give you my 2026 predictions for each division from 4 to 1. AFC is going to be interesting, but let's dive right into it. Let's start off with the AFC East. In 4th place, I've got the Miami Dolphins finishing with a record of 4-13. Miami is just starting over. Tua's gone, Tyreek is gone, Jalen Waddle's gone, Mike McDaniel's gone. It's now Malik Willis getting his opportunity to be the guy. And I'm interested in that because he did show a lot of flashes in Green Bay, but there's a major difference between playing well in spots and asking to start another team, right over for a rebuilding team. And behind him, you've got obviously Quinn Ewers. He's interesting. He's got a little bit of NFL experience, but he's still not proven. And if Miami starts something like 2-7 or, 1-8 or, God forbid, 0-9, if Malik Willis isn't playing well, we could see Quinn Ewers possibly take over the starting job. The guy offensively, I believe, is Devon Achane. That dude can play. And then you look at the receiving corps compared to what Miami used to have. Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert. Someone's going to have to step up. Maybe Malik Willis surprises people. Maybe Ewers eventually becomes something. But there's just too many unknowns for this team, so I have them finishing 4-13. Number 3, I've got the New York Jets at 5-12. And look, this franchise has never been devoid of talent. They've had good defensive players, especially. They've had some good skill players on the offensive side. There have been years where you look at this roster as like, this is just finally the year they can figure it out. And somehow, some way, something seems to go wrong. Now Geno Smith is back with the team, and full circle story, but Geno's getting older. And I don't know if he's suddenly going to be the guy who completely changes the direction of the franchise. But there is talent around him. I really love Garrett Wilson, obviously. You've got Breece Hall. They have some continuity on that offensive line. And defensively, they've added some guys like Minka, Demario Davis, and they also used the 2nd overall pick on David Bailey. So the Jets can absolutely be better than they were last year. But at some point, this organization just has to get out of its own way and put together some good football. Maybe Geno Smith can provide some stability. But until I see it, though, I'm going to stay cautious on the Jets. I have them at 5-12. Number 2, I've got the New England Patriots. And before you kill me, Patriots fans, I know I have them finishing 8-9. I think New England can and probably still will be a very competitive football team. I just think last season might have been a little bit of lightning in a bottle. And the Mike Vrabel situation that went on this offseason. I'm not saying that's going to impact them, but we know what happened. Maybe that's a lingering thing, but I don't think so. They went 14-3. Drake May finished 2nd in MVP voting. Then they got blown out in the Super Bowl, but they still made it. I don't think they would have had Bo Nix not been hurt, but they still nevertheless got to the Super Bowl. And to be fair, they actually improved the weapons around. They traded for A.J. Brown, and they also got Romeo Doubs. I completely understand why people would have New England winning 10, 11, maybe 12 games. And again, I like Mike Vrabel. I just think repeating a 14-win season is just difficult. And everyone knows Drake May is legit. Everybody has another year of film on him. They're not sneaking up on anybody. Maybe 8-9 looks stupid. Maybe it looks accurate. I don't know. But I'm going to go with my gut here and predict a pretty significant regression. I still believe in New England being a good team, but I just don't believe they're going to be a top-tier contender. So give me the Patriots at 8-9, 2nd place in the AFC East. Number 1, I've got the Buffalo Bills at 12-5. I think they win this pretty comfortably. I believe in Josh Allen. As long as he's healthy, Buffalo's going to win a lot of regular season football games. Obviously, the big unknown is the coaching change. Sean McDermott is gone, who I thought was a good coach. Joe Brady is now the head coach, and Brady and Allen already have a good relationship. That's definitely encouraging, but being a good offensive coordinator and having a good relationship with your quarterback, it does not mean you're going to be a great head coach. It's a different job. We saw that with the Browns in 2019. Baker Mayfield and Freddie Kitchens, when he got promoted, they had a good relationship, but that didn't work out. So I understand Buffalo's thinking. But if you're going to make that change while Josh Allen is still in his prime, promoting somebody he already trusts and has had success with, that definitely makes more sense. And they also got DJ Moore, which I really like. And Buffalo's been trying to find that true receiving option since Stephon Diggs left. And now you've got Moore with Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman. They also added Bradley Chubb to get that defense more pass rush help. And their defense has been a bit of a question mark. But what happens once the regular season is over is a completely different question. And that's something Buffalo has to answer, and they've tried to answer for many years now. But as far as the division standings go, give me Buffalo pretty comfortably to win this division at 12-5. Moving on to the AFC North, this is my division. At number 4, I've got the Cleveland Browns finishing with a record of 5-12. I have no idea what the Browns are doing. Deshaun Watson, after those comments that he made at his post-game presser, that should be career-ending. You don't dog the fans. And for him to say with a straight face that it has nothing to do with performance because they cheered him when his Achilles was hurt, I don't think that guy is truly as aware as he thinks he comes across as. Go look at the stats of him in 2024 and then listen to what he said just a couple days ago and tell me that he is not drunk or just joking around. But anyway, he's starting again. I don't think Shedeur Sanders, for the record, is that good, but he's been playing better than Deshaun Watson. And I know Deshaun, he gave an apology. Would he have given that apology if he didn't get the starting job? Probably not. They've obviously got Todd Monken. He's already the most hated man in Cleveland. He's taken over as head coach, and maybe somehow he gets more out of Watson than Cleveland has gotten over the last several years. But I just have to see Deshaun Watson even play remotely good football before I believe anything to do with him. Shedeur Sanders is obviously behind him, entering his second season. So if Watson struggles, we already know the conversation is going to be immediately about Shedeur. And then defensively, you lose Myles Garrett. That is enormous loss. And now I do think getting Jared Verse back in that trade was a really good piece. But you still got Denzel Ward. You still got Schlesinger. You still got Mason Graham. And there's some good defensive talent there. And I think the defense could keep them in some games. And, as a Bengals fan, if Cleveland wants to continue experimenting with Deshaun Watson, though, I'm not going to complain about it. So while the Browns have a decent roster, the quarterback situation is going to come back to bite them like it has for so many years now. Give me the Browns in 4th place at 5-12. At number 3, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-8, and I have this weird feeling I'm going to regret this, but I would love to put them lower. Unfortunately, these people, they just refuse to go away, but somehow, some way, Pittsburgh just seems to drag themselves into a winning record, so fine, I'll give them one again, but I'm stopping at 9 wins, okay? This is a different era. Mike Tomlin is gone. Mike McCarthy is now the head coach. Aaron Rodgers is coming back for himself saying the final season. And Rodgers can still play, in my opinion. He threw 24 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. I think he understands defenses still as well as anybody. I mean, his mental aspect has never shrunk. I mean, it might be his physical abilities that shrunk, but his mental has always been top-notch. And he's got some weapons around him, like I mentioned. DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr. is a really good combination. And then you've obviously got Pat Freiermuth, you got Jalen Warren, and defensively, a lot of recognizable faces. I know TJ Watt had kind of a slow year. Patrick Queen, even Cam Hayward, who's old. Jalen Ramsey and Joey Porter. As much as I don't like Ramsey, I think he'll be a good piece for that team. And Joey Porter, I don't know the contract situation going on right now, but I know that they're not paying him. The talent isn't my problem. The question is just how everything gets put together. New head coach, 42-year-old quarterback, different offensive system. I want to see it to believe it before I give them 10 wins. But unfortunately, I think they're going to find their way above 500. I'm going to have them at 9-8, stopping then because of the unknowns. At number 2, I have my Cincinnati Bengals at 10-7. This might be one of the teams I went back and forth on the most because obviously, guys, I'm a Bengals fan. I want them winning this division. I want them finishing ahead of Pittsburgh. But after 3 straight years of missing the playoffs, at some point I need this team to prove it again. And we know that Pittsburgh has finished ahead of Cincinnati 3 years in a row now. Joe Burrow has had multiple significant injuries. The offense just got wasted in 2024. So I'm not giving us 12 wins in August just because the depth chart looks better. But I'll tell you this. I love what we did, man. We obviously know what this team is on offense. You've got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown. And if Burrow is healthy, I have almost no concern what this offense can do. They also extended Orlando Brown Jr. They brought Dalton Risner back and Joe Flacco. I mean, that gives them a decent veteran quarterback option, although hopefully you don't have to see that ever. But the question is the defense. Year 2 of Al Golden, obviously. Last year was ugly for the large portion of the season, but after Week 10, the bye week, I thought the team genuinely showed signs of figuring something out, figuring Golden's system out. Over the final 8 games, Cincinnati allowed about 9 fewer points per game and nearly 100 fewer yards per game than they did during the first 9. So I think that's a big if they go back to the second half. Who knows, maybe they could be better. And not only that, you obviously added Dexter Lawrence, Boy Mafe, and Jonathan Allen. I think those guys make this strong defensive interior lineman. The defense finishing didn't look the way it started, but nonetheless, we still made great moves that I think is going to help this defense. I think we needed some dogs on this team with strong personalities, and I think we got that in, obviously, Dexter Lawrence. On the edge, you got Boy Mafe, Miles Murphy coming off the season of his career. And then Shamar Stewart going into year 2. We'll see how he does. Then you look at the linebackers, obviously Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight. They have another year of experience, and Carter is the guy getting everybody lined up and communicating with Golden on the field. The secondary got a lot of help too. Let's not forget they added Brian Cook and Kyle Duggar at safety. You've still got Jordan Battle. DJ Turner has been very encouraging. Dax Hill is there. And when I compare to this defense to what Cincinnati was putting on the field for a year or two, I mean, I just don't think it's even close talent-wise. Now, you still got to do it. No more saying the defense is young. No more saying they need time to gel. You just got to start right out of the gate. There's no excuses anymore. But we can't put this on the front office anymore. They traded the 10th overall pick for Dexter Lawrence. If Burrow stays healthy and the roster still can't get back to being one of the better teams in the AFC, then some serious questions have to ask. The defense improves. The Burrow stays healthier. That's how I anticipate it going. And I'm going to keep them relatively conservative. I wanted to add maybe a game just because of the schedule and everything, but I still just need to see it from the Bengals. I'm not going to get over on my high horse just off offseason moves until it's actually gone out and proven. And finishing in first place, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens at 12-5. I think Lamar is going to be motivated as hell. He got ranked 69th in the NFL Top 100. 69th. A two-time MVP. Last season, obviously, Lamar dealt with injuries, but I don't think Lamar Jackson giving extra motivation is necessarily something that the rest of the league should be excited about. I mean, I like Minter as a defensive mind, but coordinating a defense and running an NFL team are different jobs, man. So we have no idea if this is going to work. Roster-wise, though, I think Baltimore's still loaded. You've got Lamar, you've got Derrick Henry, you've got Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. Then defensively, you got Roquan Smith still. You've got Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton. Those are some good pieces. Of course, they added Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, I'm still laughing off that whole Max Crosby situation. Baltimore basically thought they had Crosby. They backed out for a medical situation and then immediately went and grabbed Trey Hendrickson instead. I'm not exactly sending the Ravens organization a thank you card for taking Trey out of Cincinnati, but unfortunately he can play. He's one of the best pass rushers in football. He gives the defense exactly what it needs, and I'm concerned about the coaching transition for the Ravens. But I trust Lamar. I trust that this team feels like they have something to prove after last year. So give me Baltimore bouncing back to 12-5 and winning the AFC North for the third time in 4 years. Moving on to the AFC South. At number 4, I've got the Tennessee Titans at 5-12. I like what Tennessee's building. I'm just not ready to buy it yet. Cam Ward is entering year 2. Obviously the talent for him is there. That's why he went first overall. Then you've got Robert Saleh running the team, and Brian Daboll is working with that offense. 2 former New York coaches. And whatever you think about Daboll as a head coach, I think he's had good success working at least with quarterbacks. And Tennessee gave Ward weapons, man. They brought in, obviously, Carnell Tate. That's my guy, a Buckeye. Wendell Robinson as well. As for Carnell Tate, man, he's got really good side. He can make contested catches. I think pairing him with Ken Ward could really make it interesting. So I can see the vision. I could absolutely be sitting here a year from now talking about Tennessee as one of the more young, interesting teams in football. I'm just not sure how quickly it's going to come together because the coaching staff needs to be better. Ward has to develop. Maybe they're better than 5 wins. Wouldn't shock me, but I'm saying they're about a year away. Third place, I've got the Indianapolis Colts at 9-8. And honestly, if there weren't so many injury questions, I might be considerably higher on this team. But they were playing some good football, man. They really were, until things fell apart. The biggest one is obviously Daniel Jones coming back from the Achilles injury. You know, Jones' mobility is what made him so effective. So even though he's been cleared and apparently he looks good, I just can't assume that he's going to be exactly the same quarterback immediately. Now, there are parts of this offense I absolutely believe in, Jonathan Taylor being one of them. He's a monster, and Indianapolis just extended him again, and I like that offensive line. If you're going to establish the running game with Taylor and keep Daniel Jones from feeling like he has to play superhero every week, I think the offense could really work. And then obviously you got Sauce Gardner, DeForest Buckner, and even there, though, I have questions. Can everybody stay healthy? Will the defense look as good and be as good as it is on paper? That's what keeps me from pushing the Colts into double-digit wins here. But I have them finishing at 9-8 because I could make them look conservative if that happens. At number 2, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know this looks like a pretty significant step backwards after 13-4, but I like Trevor Lawrence. I've always thought he had the talent. Liam Cohen, he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. And those two clearly work well together. Then you've got Travis Hunter, who might be one of the more interesting players in the entire NFL because Jacksonville's still trying to figure out how much they want to use him on both sides of the ball. But I'm not predicting a collapse here. My reasoning is just hard to repeat. Teams now have a full year of tape on Liam Cohen's offense. Obviously, Jacksonville lost some pieces, and I think Houston is just slightly better. Could Lawrence go out there and build off last season and make me regret this? Absolutely. I think Jacksonville's a good football team, but I'm dropping them back a little bit to 10-7. Winning the AFC South, I've got the Houston Texans. And the biggest reason is simple. I think this defense is championship level. Look at the talent. Will Anderson Jr., Daniel Hunter, Derek Stingley Jr., Kalen Bullock. So for me, Houston comes down to one situation. CJ Stroud. He has to bounce back. His rookie year created ridiculously high expectations, and since then we just haven't seen the consistent version of CJ Stroud that we saw once upon a time. I think he's talented enough to get back there, and Houston tried to help him. They added Wyatt Teller and Braden Smith on the offensive line, used a first-round pick on Kalen Rutledge, and also added David Montgomery to give him a more physical running game. I think Tank Dell coming back could also be a huge boost. So if Stroud gets back to what he was doing during his rookie year and the offense is simply, average, I think Houston becomes a very difficult team to deal with because that defense is already there. And lastly, we've got the AFC West. At number 4, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders at 5-12. But I like the direction that they're going. They got Fernando Mendoza, obviously. And personally, I've always been a fan of kind of letting rookie quarterbacks sit behind veterans. So in this case, it would be Kirk Cousins when you have that opportunity. I honestly kind of wish the Bengals would have done that for Joe Burrow and with Andy Dalton behind him. I completely understand why we didn't, because they owed Dalton a lot of money. Burrow was the number 1 pick, and it was time to move forward. In Vegas, you have Kirk Cousins, so you let him sit either, or you let him learn, or you let him watch how a veteran prepares. There's no reason to force him onto the field before he's ready. And the Raiders are, obviously, they have some very, very exciting young offensive talent. Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, who got hurt, but I think he's okay. Those are building blocks, and then you obviously got Max Crosby back. At number 3, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers at 10-7. Always been a big Justin Herbert fan. I love the talent. He's strong. His arm is ridiculous. He can make any throw. My question with Herbert, it's never really been that whether he's good or not to play quarterback in the NFL, because obviously he is. My biggest question is whether he can be that dude when the biggest game comes around. The Chargers have now had postseason opportunities where the offense just hasn't gotten it done. And when we're putting you next to the truly elite quarterbacks, you've got to have those January performances too. And that's why I'm kind of interested to see what he does with Mike McDaniel as his offensive coordinator. And Jim Harbaugh obviously moved on from Greg Roman, who was a disaster in Baltimore and a disaster in LA. I could see that working out pretty well for them. The offensive line should also be a lot healthier, and Rashawn Slater's obviously back after Herbert took 54 sacks last season. That's a big deal. I think they still got some legit playmakers like Khalil Mack and Derwin James, but I'm going to make Herbert show me that the next step before I move him any higher. So give me Los Angeles at 10-7. Number 2, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs, and one thing, I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes. He's coming off an ACL, LCL injury. That's serious, but everything that we've seen this year so far has been a sign that he's progressing well, and it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, they went 6-11 last year. That was insane, but they also lost 9 one-score games. You're probably not going to lose every single close game with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And they also brought back Eric Bieniemy back as offensive coordinator, which I actually find really interesting because the offense was consistently elite during his previous run year. And they also added Kenneth Walker III, which gives them another weapon in the backfield. And there are concerns. Trent McDuffie's gone. Brian Cook is gone. The secondary is a lot different. Jalen Watson's gone. And Mahomes is still returning from a serious injury, no matter how good or bad he is. It's still Steve Spagnuolo. It's still Andy Reid. It's still Patrick Mahomes. I think they bounce back. I'm not putting them at 13 or 14 wins, especially what I think is really, really good AFC West. But give me the Chiefs at 10-7. And winning it for the second straight year, I've got the Denver Broncos. I'm taking them at 11-6. And man, I felt sick for Denver last year. They go 14-3. They have this incredible run and incredible season, and then Bo Nix gets hurt. I think he's going to be a good young quarterback. I think he's entering year 3, and Denver actually added some even more around him. They traded for Jalen Waddle, so you've got Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle together. That's a pretty good receiver combination right there. And if you got one of the biggest reasons I'm picking Denver, it's that defense. Already one of the best in football. You've got Patrick Surtain the second. But the only thing I'm concerned about is the play calling change with Davis Webb taking over. But overall, I see this roster, and I just don't see a sign of weakness. Do I think they go 14-3 again? Probably not. But I absolutely think they could bounce back from the way last year ended against New England. So give me the Denver Broncos to win the division at 11-6. Now we get on to the playoff seeding. At number 1, I've got the Buffalo Bills at 12-5. Baltimore Ravens at 2 at 12-5. Denver Broncos at 3 at 11-6. Texans at 4 at 11-6. Bengals at 5 with a record of 10-7. And 6 Kansas City Chiefs at 10-7, and number 7, this was hard, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers at 10-7, which means the Jacksonville Jaguars will go 10-7 and miss the playoffs. Yeah, I know Jags fans are not going to be happy with me, but you guys went 13-4 last year, won the division, and now I'm sitting here telling you you're not going to win 10 games. I know it sucks. But keep in mind, I've got 4 teams at 10-7 competing for those 3 wildcard spots, so somebody's got to lose a tiebreaker, man. I'm going to give Cincinnati the 5th seed. Kansas City gets the 6th seed. And with Kansas City and Cincinnati, I went back and forth on the seeding, but obviously Mahomes and Reed deserve the benefit of the doubt for me, but seeding just doesn't automatically ask me who I think is better at football. And I'm also giving the Chargers the final spot because I think the addition of Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator and better health around Herbert help them take another step. And do I think that the Chargers are definitively better than the Jacksonville Jaguars? No. It's seeding, not power rankings. And that's just how I'm shaping it all to look. Those are my 2026 AFC predictions. And honestly, I know several of these I already know I could regret. Steeler fans are probably waiting for Pittsburgh to win 10 games so they could come back here and let me hear about it. And Patriots fans think I'm probably insane for dropping them from 14 to 8. And Jaguars fans, I know we're not going to enjoy it. But obviously, as a Bengals fan, I am hoping that I'm being very conservative for Cincinnati because I just want to see it come together. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt yet. They've missed the playoffs the last 3 years. But anyway, let me know what your prediction is and which you don't like and which one you like. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.